about bleeding disorders, right? So coming to the bleeding disorder diagnosis, what lab test we will perform, right? So first of all, we already know what is hemostasis. A very quick overview of hemostasis. Wait, a very quick overview of hemostasis. There is blood vessel, exposure of collagen. Then what happened? 1 milligram factor deposition. Then platelet attachment, platelet aggregation, platelet activation, conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. Fibrin will be clotted, resulting in clotting, whereas platelet plug formation will prevent the bleeding. This is a simple story, right? Hemostasis, you know. Then we are discussing about various bleeding disorders. Bleeding disorders can happen due to clotting factor deficiencies or platelet problems, leads to bleeding conditions. Then, so when there is a bleeding under the skin, that condition is called as, it will cause a reddish patch. That is called as ecchymosis. First, ecchymosis. Okay. First there will be buzzing. Buzzing is called as ecchymosis. Ecchymosis can also leads to purpura. Purpura means red spots on the body. And severe purpura can lead to disseminated intravascular coagulation, DIC. Right? We discussed these things so far. Then, what primary tests you will perform to diagnose a bleeding disorders? Obviously, first we will go with CBC. In CBC, particularly we will check the platelet count. Platelet count. If thrombocytopenia is there, thrombocytopenia plus bleeding, direct statement. Decreased platelet caused bleeding. If the platelet count is normal, then we will do other tests. We will perform bleeding time and we will also perform clotting time. Tell me types of bleeding time quickly. Finger prick method, IV wave method and Duke's method. Then clotting time methods, capillary tube method, then one more, Lee and White method, and other one is coagulometer, automatic method, coagulometer method, okay? That we understood. Then, we also discussed about other important thing. So, we need to know the coagulation mechanism. So, write down the coagulation mechanism, very simple diagram. I hope you already know it. 12, 11, 9, 10, 2, 1, and here 7, 10, 2, 1. 7, 10, 2, 1, this one. Okay, in between 8 and 11 there is 8, and in between 9 and 10 there is 5. And obviously there is calcium everywhere. In between there is calcium everywhere. What? I will discuss. Pay attention. Yes. Listen very carefully. This is very important lecture. I am making even more simpler actually today. Listen. So this is extrinsic pathway. This is extrinsic pathway. You know, right? This is extrinsic. Extrinsic pathway. What clotting factors are there? 7, 10, 2, 1. You can easily remember now. 7, 10, 2, 1 present in extrinsic pathway. Whereas intrinsic pathway is this one. Okay, intrinsic pathway 12, 11, 8, 9, 5, 10, 2, 1. 10 to 1 can be stated as a common pathway. 10 to 1 can also be stated as a common pathway. We have studied all of this so far, right? Then I also discussed about 7, 10 to 1 are also vitamin K dependent clotting factors. 7, 10 to 1 are vitamin K dependent clotting factors. This also we discussed. Any doubt so far? Yeah, I was cross verified. I can listen. Just here I want to tell 9 is also vitamin K dependent, but 9 is not an extrinsic pathway clotting factor. 9 is a common pathway, but 9 also a vitamin K dependent clotting factor. Just keep in mind, okay? Previously I kept complete like this, but I separated it now. I know, purposefully I did it. Because we are getting confusion between extrinsic and intrinsic when I am keeping this. That's why I just kept it separate. But anyway, keep in mind, vitamin K dependent are 7, 10, 2, 1 and 9. I need to cross verify 9 again, okay? Is it clear so far? Yes. What tests we will perform to detect extrinsic pathway issues? Prothrombin time is for extrinsic pathway problems. Then for intrinsic pathway problems, activator partial thromboplastin time. Very good. Whereas common pathway issues can be determined by thrombin time. Thrombin time is for common pathway, APTT for intrinsic and common, PT for extrinsic and common. PT extrinsic common, APTT intrinsic plus common, TT only for common. Then overall ability of clotting will be determined by TGT, thrombin generation test. Is everything clear so far? Right? Yes. Now listen. By your foundational knowledge, you just try to tell me, students, what is the significance of prothrombin time? For example, elevated PT signifies what? If the PT is increased, if the prothrombin time increased, write down the normal prothrombin time. The normal prothrombin time is 11 to 16 seconds. The normal prothrombin time is 11 to 16 seconds. If prothrombin time is more than 16 or 18 seconds, what does it indicate? Increased PT indicates what? 1. Tell me, students. Obviously, absence of any one of this clotting factor. Absence of any one of the clotting factor. What clotting factors? 7, 10 to 1. Absence of 7, 10 to 1 can cause elevated PT. Clear? Then, elevated PT can also seen in what condition? What if the patient don't have vitamin, the patient is vitamin K deficient? What happens to the PT? Vitamin K deficient in the patient. Then PT will increase, right? What is the reason? Because these clotting factors are dependent on vitamin K. Okay. So elevated PT can indicates vitamin K deficiency or absence of any one of this clotting factor. Then other one. What drug molecule will remove vitamin K from the circulation? Very good. Warfarin. When we give warfarin, warfarin will remove the vitamin K. Obviously the PT will shoot. It will increase. So, patient under oral warfarin therapy. In warfarin therapy patients, the PT will increase. Is it clear? Warfarin therapy patients will have increased PT levels. Okay, good. Any final reason to get elevated PT levels? The final will be if the patient has some absorption problems. If the patient has any absorption problems in the intestine, maybe he has intestinal bowel syndrome, maybe he has some ulcers in the stomach. Since there are ulcers in the intestine, his vitamin K is not absorbed into the circulation, leading to vitamin K deficiency. So, intestinal abnormality, GI tract abnormalities can cause elevated PT. Is it clear? Yes. See, this patient took vitamin K. That vitamin K must enter into his blood. Okay? How it will enter? It will enter through the intestine, right? It will be reabsorbed in the intestine. Let us assume this patient has intestinal ulcers and there is an issue with absorption. So when there is an intestinal problem, stomach ulcers not absorbed, Vitamin K deficient, increased PT. So this is how a GI abnormality or absorption issues lead to an elevated PT actually because of vitamin K. In this way, in this reason, vitamin K not absorbed because of this condition, intestinal issues. Clear? Any doubts? Yeah. So far now you understood what is PT, prothrombin time. Now I will discuss how to perform this test. How we will perform prothrombin time test. Pay utmost attention, okay? Listen, for every coagulation studies, what type of blood sample we should take? Blood sample type? Whole blood. Very good. Whole blood you will take. That means you are taking a anticoagulated blood. Am I correct? Anticoagulated blood you are taking. What type of anticoagulated blood you have to take? Not, listen, all coagulation studies, you need to take a citrated blood, sodium citrate blood. You have to take sodium citrated blood. Sodium citrate blood must be taken for coagulation studies. No oxalates, no EDTs, no others, no fluorides. Citrates, the sodium citrate is the internationally standardized anticoagulant used for coagulation studies. Is it clear? Current way, you sit there or you can go out. Up to you. Sit there. Why you are smiling? I don't know. Sit there. In that bench. Yes. Sodium citrated blood. Now listen. How much sodium citrate we need to take? That is, we will take 32 grams of sodium citrate in liter of solution, and this will be given for 1 part of sodium citrate for 9 parts of blood sample. We need to take for 9 parts, okay, 1 part of sodium citrate to the 9 parts of sample. That means if this is the test tube, this will be sodium citrate and this will be blood. 1:9 ratio. Simple. Okay. Clear, right? Then I want to tell few more things here. We know that platelets will, yes. First I will finish, then we will see any corrections, your doubts. Listen, other important, what is the class time, mister? Everyone become casual approach nowadays. I can't, sorry, you can. I'm sorry. Listen, we always need to take one special type of blood called platelet poor plasma. What is this platelet poor plasma? Platelet poor plasma. Ronak, sit in the first bench, but I won't have an next to you. Platelet poor plasma. What is this platelet poor plasma means? Listen, I have kept anticoagulant, okay? Then I will separate with adheresis or simply centrifuge. I will centrifuge it. After centrifugation, I will get a buffy coat. Do you remember? That buffy coat will have white blood cells and platelets. I will discard the buffy coat. I will take only the plasma. This plasma is called as platelet poor plasma. Why I took platelet poor plasma? If my sample has platelets, platelets will convert fibrinogen to fibrin and it will be clotted. I don't want platelets interference in my test. I don't want my platelet interference in my test. That's why in all clotting studies, we will take platelet poor plasmas. Because this test is not about platelet function. This is only about clotting factor studies. That's why I took platelet poor plasma always. I will take platelet poor plasma. Is it clear? Then, for every test, this is the test of PT. For this test, we need to take a, So I removed calcium from the blood. In the sodium citrate, it will remove calcium first of all. Since I removed calcium, my blood is not clotted. Am I correct? Now I took an unclotted blood. Listen, you just imagine this is a test tube. In this test tube, I have a platelet pool plasma, and in this test tube there is no calcium. Calcium was removed. Now, in order to make this plasma to clot, in order to make this platelet pool plasma to clot, I need to add some activators. Am I correct? I need to add an activator. Immediately after adding activator, it will be converted. It will be clotted. After adding activator, my clotting factors will get activated and they will be clotted. What clotting factors will be activated in prothrombin type? 7, 10, 2, 1. How I know only 7, 10, 2, 1 will act on my sample? I will take the 7, 10, 2, 1 activator. How 7 was activated? Do you remember what is extrinsic pathway? How extrinsic pathway activated? Remember, students? Okay, there is prothrombin activator. One more. Prothrombin activator. How prothrombin activator came into the place? Prothrombin activator will be here. That is common, common pathway activator. Here we have tissue damage, tissue thromboplastin. Tissue thromboplastin will act as an activator to initiate the extrinsic pathway. Do you remember? In intrinsic blood vessel damage, 1 milligram factor, high molecular weight chylindrin, 12 to 12A. This is intrinsic mechanism. That is what here. This is intrinsic by blood vessel damage, whereas extrinsic is always with tissue damage. Do you remember? So here, one activator will be obviously calcium. I need to add calcium. That will be act as an activator because I removed calcium in my anticoagulation step. And other activator I am going to add will be thromboplastin. Thromboplastin. So I have added thromboplastin and calcium. Immediately I need to start my stopwatch and I will calculate the time it took to clot. Got it? I added the activator and I started measuring the time. Whatever time we got, that will be the prothrombin time. Got it? What is the normal prothrombin time? That is, we should observe clot within 11 to 16 seconds. Right? Yeah, 11 to 16 seconds is the normal prothrombin time. Alright. Clear, right? So in this test, I have added activators. Activators are calcium and thromboplastin. This is measuring the extrinsic pathway. Any doubts so far in this test? No doubts, right? What type of blood we took? We took platelet pool plasma. Whole blood actually. I think whole blood is misleading you. We need to take platelet pool plasma. Ultimately we are taking platelet pool plasma. Obviously we took whole blood. We added sodium citrate. Then we centrifused and we discarded the platelets. So it became a platelet pool plasma. And this platelet pool plasma took in a test tube. Then I added a activators such as calcium and thromboplastin and I got the clot. This is how we will assess the prothrombin time. Yes. Whole blood? Whole blood. We can perform with whole blood. I'm not sure. Actually, whole blood we can do. That is another test called clot retraction. Clot retraction test. I came to know that when we are using whole blood, there will be some interference with the platelets in this. So that's why the standardized technique is platelet pool plasma. This is the right procedure. I cross-verified actually. I too saw whole blood can be used. But generally we should take platelet pool plasma. Listen students, what happens in reality is most of the labs will go with their traditional approaches. What approach? Some labs will go with whole blood. When you are working in lab, you will see there will be contradictions with the theory. That's why you should work in NABL labs. In normal labs, they want results. Somehow they will manipulate shortcuts. Anyway, that we'll see later, okay? Fine. Is this clear? Now listen. write down the actual procedure. Procedure of prothrombin time. In this procedure, what we will do is, first we took the platelet pool plasma. First I centrifuged. You already know that steps. Took whole blood, keep in sodium citrate, then do centrifugation, discard the buffy coat, obtain the platelet pool plasma. I hope you know what is platelet pool plasma now. I hope you know how to obtain platelet pool plasma. Any doubts in platelet pool plasma? No, right? Just anticoagulated blood, discarded the buffy coat, then took the supernatant. Right? Yeah. Anyway. Now, this platelet pool plasma will be kept in a test tube. How much platelet pool plasma you need to take is, I will say. So, first you take in this test tube and you need to warm it at 37 degrees centigrade for 5 minutes. No, just obtaining PPE. After taking PPE, warm the platelet pool plasma at 37. That means this is called warming up. You know why we are warming up the plasma? To mimic the body temperature. To mimic the body temperature, we again warming it to 37 for 5 minutes. So now it is in body temperature. To this, parallelly what I will do is, listen, I will take another test tube. This is a test tube 1. Assume this has a 2 ml of PPE. This has 2 ml of PPE. Okay. Then I took another test tube. In this test tube, I have added 0.1 ml of this PPP. 0.1 ml platelet pool plasma added into a test tube. Is it clear? Okay. Parallelly, we need to take one more test tube. Okay. Pre-warm the test tube at 37 degrees centigrade. In this test tube, add the reagents. What are the reagents? Thromboplastin plus calcium. You added the reagents. Thromboplastin plus calcium. Okay. How much thromboplastin and calcium? Okay. So now we prepare these two. We got the warmed platelet pool plasma and thromboplastin at this temperature. Now I will add 0.2 milliliters of this reagent into this tube, and I will start counting the time. I will start the stopwatch. Okay, stopwatch. Simple. What I did is I kept reagents at 37 and platelet plasma also at 37. Then I added the reagent to the plasma. That's it. Then I started measuring the clot. Now they are saying that how to measure the clot. In clot retraction I have seen. Listen. Not in all textbooks. I saw in some textbooks they said they took a wire, a looped wire, and they already kept looped wire in the test tube. Okay. After clotting happened, when you remove this wire, you will see a clotted mesh. A clotted mesh will be attached to the wire. That indicates whether it is clotted or not. So that will be a other confirmation whether it is clotted or not by lifting the looped wire up. When it is clotted, you will see a clotted thing. It looks like a Fevicol, water versus Fevicol. Clear? So this is prothrombin time. Any doubts so far? That's it. So elevated prothrombin time is seen in vitamin K deficiency, absence of 7, 9, 10 to 1, then warfarin therapy and ulcers, gastric ulcers. Okay. What reagents we used in PT time, prothrombin time? Sorry. Thromboplastin and calcium. What is the ideal temperatures? 37. And what is the normal time of PT? 11 to 16. Okay. What is the difference between, or what is PPE means? What is the significance of PP in this test? Because platelets will interfere with the clotting studies. So we are removing platelets from the story. If not, they will activate other pathways in this coagulation mechanism. Is it clear? Yes. Now I will discuss about the second test, that is partial thromboplastin time. Partial thromboplastin time, not activated partial. I am discussing about partial thromboplastin time. By the way, what is the purpose of PT? To study what pathway? Extrinsic pathway will be studied in prothrombin time. Don't get confused. These are some important, foundational things. Yeah. Next one. Partial thromboplastin time. Partial thromboplastin time. First I will discuss partial thromboplastin time. Then I will discuss activated partial thromboplastin time. Maybe I was short of time. Maybe tomorrow I will discuss APTT. Today these two are sufficient. Okay. So partial thromboplastin time. For what purpose we are doing partial thromboplastin time? To study the extrinsic pathway. Extrinsic plus common pathway. Extrinsic plus common pathway. Elevated partial thromboplastin time indicates what? Elevated PTT indicates deficiency of 12, 11, 9, 10, 2, 1 factors and also 8 and 5. Absence of 10, 11, 8, 9, 5, 10, 2, 1.
So that's intrinsic.
Huh?
Intrinsic.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I was confused. Extrinsic already PT we discussed. Intrinsic. See, I made mistake. Sorry. APTT for partial thromboplastin time for intrinsic only. I'm sorry. I did a small mistake. Okay. Yeah. Don't get confused. I was confused. Sorry. Okay. Partial thromboplastin time is for common pathway. Right? So, elevated partial thromboplastin time indicates deficiency of these clotting factors 10, 11, 9, 8, 5, 10 to 1. Is it clear? That we already understood. Parallelly, write down the normal value. Normal partial thromboplastin time is 45 to 70 seconds. This is 45 to 70 seconds. And also, I came across many notes. They stated this range will differ from INR of the patient, international normalized ratio. First we need to calculate INR. Based on INR, these values will change. We will adjust the values based on INR values, that we'll see later. So keep in mind, this value might change from patient to patient. That needs a separate calculation. Anyway. So you know the normal time and you know the purpose of PTT, partial thromboplastin time. It is used for intrinsic pathway issues that include factors deficiency like 11, 12, 11, 10, 8, 10 to 1. Anyway, then elevated PTT is also seen in what conditions? Tell me, students. Obviously, one you said common pathway issue. Give me some disease names. What common pathway factors are deficient in some diseases? Hemophilia. Very good. In hemophilia patients, the PTT levels will increase. The reason? In hemophilia, we have hemophilia A, B and C. 8, 9 and 11. So in hemophilia, APTT will increase. Or PTT will increase and PT will be normal. Prothrombin time will be normal, but partial thromboplastin time will be increased in hemophilia. Now we understood the significance of these two tests. Clear, right? Yeah. Any other reasons? Calcium deficiency. Listen, when there is a calcium deficiency, directly in CT itself we will understand. Clotting time will be elevated. Okay? We are discussing inside veins. Anyone, can you tell me? What will be the, I was just confused. I think it won't interfere here. Whether platelet abnormalities interfere with intrinsic pathway. Listen, platelet don't have a receptor. That will cause increased bleeding time. Not it won't affect the clotting time. Am I correct? Platelet disorders won't affect the clotting studies. Then that's what I was trying to say. 1 milligram factor disease will cause elevated BT, bleeding time, but not clotting time, because 1 milligram factor is responsible for platelets, not for clotting studies. Okay, then what will be the activator in partial thromboplastin type? Identify the activator. So listen, the activator for partial thromboplastin type will be what is that? Prothrombin activator, right? Prothrombin. So we will add prothrombin to the reagent. Okay, prothrombin will activate this one. Plus we will also add calcium. Plus we will also add 1 milligram factor to this studies. High molecular weight chylindrin. These are the chemicals that are seen in intrinsic pathway when you study the coagulation pathway. Okay. If you remember, blood vessel will damage. After blood vessel damage, 1 milligram factor high molecular weight chylindrin. In the presence of them 12 will be converted to 12A, then 11 will be converted to 11A, 9 to 9A. Okay, this is all initiated with the activators such as 1 milligram factor high molecular weight chylindrin, and also we can activate by prothrombin. Okay, partial thromboplastin actually. This is not prothrombin. The reagent is partial thromboplastin will be added. Partial thromboplastin will be added, and partial thromboplastin will be act as an activator for this intrinsic pathway. So intrinsic pathway will be initiated by partial thromboplastin, whereas thromboplastin will activate the extrinsic pathway. Keep in mind. Now let's go to the test. How we will do the test? So in a nutshell, there is platelet poor plasma. To this platelet poor plasma, we added an activators that include calcium plus partial thromboplastin. This partial thromboplastin reagent name is cephalin. In commercially, this is called as cephalin. CEPHALIN. Partial thromboplastin is available as a medicine called as cephalin. So we will add a cephalin. Cephalin is from partial thromboplastin that will activate and it will clot. Okay. So that's it. Same. Again 37 degrees centigrade temperature for 5 minutes. Then again we will take 0.1 ml of partial thromboplastin to the 0.2 ml of PPE. To 0.2 ml of PPP. Okay. We will add 0.1 ml of reagent and we will get clot. The normal time of this one is 45 to 70 seconds. That's it. This is partial thromboplastin time. Okay. Now I just want to tell one more thing. Partial thromboplastin time has an issue. The issue was platelets have a property called contact activation and contact inhibition. Once the platelets get in touch with the vial, once the platelet get in touch with the blood vial, platelets will be activated. Even though you discarded the platelets, still they are activated and they will initiate the reactions inside the blood sample. So these results won't be ideal. There will be fluctuations in the results because the platelets are activating. So we need to inhibit the platelets. That will be done by taking a new step called, we will take activated partial thromboplastin type. Okay, considering the contact inhibition and contact activation of platelets, to minimize that interference, we modified this test to activate a partial thromboplastin type. This I will discuss tomorrow. How PTT is different from APTT. APTT is more gold standard technique compared to PTT. Previously we went with PTT studies, but recently we converted to APTT studies because APTT is more reliable, more accurate compared to PTT. That we'll see. These two tests are important for your lab also outside. We will perform PT and APTT regularly in the patients. Apart from other things like TGT and TT, they will be easily understood. Directly we have kids to understand TGT, TT, but these two are important. Okay. So, yeah, a quick review. What pathway will be studied by prothrombin time? Huh? Extrinsic. What is the activator of prothrombin time? Calcium plus tissue thromboplastin. Okay, thromboplastin. This is tissue thromboplastin. Please. Tissue thromboplastin. Okay. Whereas, what is the activator of this one? APTT? Partial thromboplastin. Okay. Partial thromboplastin commercially available as cephalin. Normal time of partial thromboplastin 45 to 70. And this one? PT? 11 to 16. You can easily understand why the time is less, because less factors are involved here. Whereas here more factors are involved, so more time. Okay? So you just tell me one thing, students. If the patient is in aspirin therapy, what will be the levels of PT, APTT? It won't affect anything, keep in mind, very good, okay? If you say it won't affect, then that is correct answer. Aspirin will block the platelets, okay, by arachidonic acid synthesis, okay? So now you are, what is your opinion on hematology now? Are you feeling like you understood some depth of hematology? Initially we are going with the TRBC, TWBC, now we are understanding the internal things, how these values are affecting hemostasis, how these values are, indirectly we are measuring clotting mechanisms, intrinsic, extrinsic, common. And how we are correlating them with disease conditions. Say for example, I got a patient with suspected hemophilia. What test you will ask in the lab? Suspected hemophilia. What test? PTT, right? Why? Because hemophilia is an intrinsic issue. Factor 8 and 9 are intrinsic. So the right test will be APTT or PTT. Very good. Very good. That's it. Thank you so much. This is sufficient today.